Good evening. I'd like to call the City of Mount Vernon City Council meeting for April 14, 2021 to order. The time is now 7 p.m. If you would please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you so much. And I think with all of our staff leaving, our clerk did too, so I'll go ahead and call the roll for council. So, Councilmember Gary Molinar.
Here.
Councilmember Melissa Beaton.
Here.
Councilmember Mark Holst.
Here.
Councilmember Mary Hudson.
Here.
Councilmember Iris Carrillas.
Here.
Councilmember Richard Blacksmith.
Here.
Councilmember Juan Morales.
Present.
Thank you so much. Under consent agenda, we have items A, B, and C. It's regular council meeting minutes, payroll checks, wire transfers, and claims.
I move adoption of the consent agenda.
Thank you.
Second.
Motion by Mark, we'll give a second to Melissa. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you so much. Under reports tonight, item A is our committee report for Public Works and Library, and Councilmember Molinar will give that report.
Okay, we opened up the Public Works Library Committee tonight at 6 o'clock. First up was Blaine Chesterfield with our Program Coordinator Division. On Saturday, March 27th, the Boy Scouts did a riparian corridor planting project along Maddox Creek, just west of South 27th. 11 Boy Scouts and 3 chaperones planted several varieties such as red twig dogwood, vine maple, and evergreen huckleberry. This will help establish vegetation and improve the habitat by increasing shade along the section of Maddox Creek. Next up, there was project updates. The following 4 project items discussed are on tonight's council agenda. The 2021 pavement evaluation, solid waste building addition bid award, the 21-26 6-year transportation improvement program for future public hearing, and also the Skagit PUD agreement to repave First Street. This will be a coordinated package with PUD to pave from Fur from the Venture almost up to Wall Road. The city has designed a project to build pavement, sidewalks, and lighting along Freeway Drive between Cameron Way and College Way. Federal funding for this project was successfully advanced ahead of other regional projects that were not ready to go at the time, so we are able to get $1.6 million that is now available to the city, and construction will begin on this probably in mid-July. The committee discussed several topics associated with the new recycling contract with waste management that is now under consideration. There is possibly a provision for low-income senior discount that would be 0.75% less of a payment than the regular public. Then we also talked about some of the modifications to the parking restrictions on a segment of South 3rd Street, and looking possibly to take away the no parking zones along that would be used to help the street sweepers go through there. The next Traffic Safety Committee meeting is on Tuesday, April 20th. Then we moved into Library Committee comments from Isaac Huffman. The Library Commons project now has narrowed down from 3 to 9 on the architectural process of this, and we're looking at state, local, and federal funding to help with the funding sources. The changing staff model at the library was reviewed and explained why the library will open just a little bit slower, but we're hoping that hopefully have it open by just after the 4th of July, and hiring is now in process. Obviously, technology will also play an essential part in the library's next chapter. There was no good of the order, and we closed the meeting at 6:45.
All right, thank you, Gary. Next up is our community comments portion. So we're excited to have our community members here tonight. We appreciate
the social distancing and masking, be able to be here for public comment. So at this time, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Peter Donovan, as we're still encouraging written comments that can come in and be read into the public record, as well as in-person comments. So I'll turn over to Peter first. So
thank you, Mayor. That's right. Yes, for the public that wants to address council without being in person, sending an email to council@mountvernon.gov is the way to do that. There was one such email sent in the last 2 weeks, and it is from Carolyn Katz. And Carolyn writes, below is a copy of an email I sent to Mayor Boudreau asking for help in alleviating the problem of an inequitable recycling fee increase that unfairly impacts us senior citizens. Her office essentially said that it would be up to the City Council to help us because it would require an ordinance change. Please help us senior citizens by amending the current recycling ordinance to allow us to take our recycling directly to the recycling center instead of having to pay waste management even more for a service for which we are already inequitably charged relative to the rest of the population. Thank you for your help, Carolyn Katz. And I believe, Mayor, that is all of the written, but there are 3 in-person comments tonight.
okay. So for the in-person comments, how we do this is if you want to go ahead and step to the podium, if you please state your name and city of residence. Normally we limit our comments to around 3 minutes. I think tonight we've got a few people that are going to speak for a group, if I understand correctly. So go ahead, if one wants to just come on up, we'll start there. Thank you.
Right there?
Yep, at the podium with the microphone. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm allowed to take this off, correct?
That's fine. Go ahead.
Good evening, and thank you. Mark, we spoke today.
Yep.
My name is Katrina Ross, and I am the business administrator of Victory Pentecostal Church here in Mount Vernon. I live here in the city of Mount Vernon, have for 18 years, and have had the privilege to be a pastor's wife in this community for the same amount of time. My husband is here tonight, Pastor Ross of Victory. I am with a great group of people, and this is a portion of our church body who is a part of fireworks in this city, and we have been doing it since 2013. This will be our 9th year. We have had a couple of years, we've had 1 location, several years we've had 2 locations, and as of 2020, we had all 3 at Safeway, Hagen, and at Walmart, and have had a privilege to interact with the community. So many times it has been wonderful from the standpoint of someone who has been able to provide a service, and not for profit, but for the benefit of the community in other ways. This year we used some of our fundraising to provide meals to families who were on the list at LaVenture Middle School for Thanksgiving, provided Christmas gifts to families through LaVenture Middle School, and Christmas dinners as well. And last year we roughly touched 2,000 families, was about the amount of transactions that we had. We try very hard to let people know why we sell the type of fireworks in town that we do, and that they're safe, that they meet the criteria of what the city allows, and that for the most part, they're fun. People always ask, well, do any of them go up in the sky? We always say, no, no, no. Everything here stays and sparks and has a continuous spray. We try to teach people about why and what the difference of fireworks are, and also let people know that we have these safe fireworks here in town to help them not desire to leave the city, number 1, for commerce, number 2, for safety, and number 3, not to obtain things that are illegal, that they can't light, and that should they're losing their finance, their money, and possibly even, we used to work with Steve Riggs, I know that some of them are even carry a felony charge. So we try to really let people know that what we have here in town is safe, fun, and other than Piccolo Pete's, nothing is really loud. And the jury's out on if those are fun or not. But I thought I would leave one little thing with you also, that having reached the community, done different things, enjoyed the process, the time we've had, the fellowship that we've enjoyed together and the many people we've had a chance to talk to, we used to do a free giveaway. TNT provides the fireworks, and as a nonprofit, we work with them, and then they take them all back, so they're not ours, which is nice. But the year that the apartments burned during the fireworks week that were on College Way, anybody remember that? They weren't caused by fireworks, thankfully. But there was a young man in there, and he had lost everything in that building that burned down. The couple we had that won the fireworks, they came in actually at the same time to pick up their free box, and they gave it to him. His name was JJ, and he had a small family, and they gave him their free box of fireworks. The next year, when we pulled the names, that family won, and they won that second free box the next year afterwards. And so there have been lots of sweet little stories that we've seen. It's not all about emotion, right? But the logistics of what we've been able to do as far as providing a safe and fun experience for families in the community has been wonderful for us. So if there's any questions with your fireworks committee, if they'd like to direct them towards us, I would be more than welcome to answer or give you any information that I can. Thank you.
And I did forward the committee your email that you sent me today with your
Yes.
phone number and encourage them to contact you if they had any questions.
That would be excellent. I would appreciate that. As much as I can help, I would love to.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Katrina. All right.
Thank you. Mark Hanslick, Bellingham, Washington. I'm the engineering manager for Skagit PUD, 1415 Freeway Drive. I'm here for, well, it's going to be quick, and I'm here for two reasons. The first is I want to express my support for the interlocal that's on the agenda tonight. I think, cooperation at this level between our two agencies is really good for the taxpayers and the residents of Mount Vernon and our ratepayers, because we are making the most efficient use of our budgets to which they contribute, and often they're the same group of people. Second, I want to thank Esco Bell and Bill Bullock for their hard work pulling this together. We're kind of under a tight timeline with our contractor, Trico, who were gracious enough to afford us some time to get this ironed out between the two agencies and move forward with the project too. So we're really grateful to them. And then I'm going to stick around for the discussion if there is any on the interlocal, and if you have any questions for me, I can take them then. I also know our general manager, George Sadu, will be here April 28th. I think that's your next council meeting. So he will be giving you an update on our going-ons. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Mark. Thank you, Peter. All right, next commenter, please come up. Again, name, city of residence, about 3 minutes or so.
Hello, my name is Michael Boss. I reside in Mount Vernon. Mayor, Council, Peter, thank you very much for allowing me to speak. You may have seen a copy of an email. Well, I actually sent it to the council as well as copied Peter on it. So you probably know I'm here to ask the council to consider on April 22nd, which is Earth Day, issuing a proclamation, a statement of some sort that would name the tulip poplar tree that stands on the corner of Cleveland and Snoqualmie after a member of our community who was a huge friend of trees and nature and who sadly passed away back in January of 2020. Mary certainly knows who I'm talking about. I'm talking about Neil Hall. And I'm here to make 2 points. The first is why name the tree. The second is why name it after Neil Hall, and you could probably give it any one of a number of names. As to why to name the tree, well, Beyonce Knowles said if you want it, then you better put a ring on it. And I would say if you want to claim it, then you better name it. And I certainly feel that way about trees. The first time I ever drove by that tree was 8 years ago when I came here from Boise, Idaho. And I remember driving by it and thinking, oh my God, look at that tree. It must have a name. It doesn't. Actually, though, it is the official city tree of the city of Mount Vernon. It was proclaimed as such back in April 10th of, 2010, I believe. And it was then, I think, Mayor Reichendorfer who officially proclaimed this tulip poplar tree as the official city tree of Mount Vernon, Washington. It is the largest in the state. Based on what may be its age, you could argue that it may be the oldest living connection we have to our pioneer past. It's significant for a number of reasons. That's why I think it deserves a name. As to why it should be named after Neil, well, 3 reasons for that. First of all, Neil was a man who loved trees like probably few people you have ever met. He's personally responsible for having identified scores of species, unique species here in the Skagit Valley. He propagated some of those and sold them through his business, which was Wells Nursery. Which brings up the second reason why I think we should name the tree after Neil. It was not only that he loved trees, they were his livelihood as well. And in selling them, he educated a lot of people in this area about trees, how to care for them, how to nurture them. He once chained himself to some trees to keep them from being cut down, but that's a story too long to go into. Suffice it to say, he loved and lived trees. There's a final reason, though, and perhaps it's a bit metaphoric, but I think it applies. When I was first talking to Jim Barbarinas, a local consultant, an arborist, about the age of the tree, we realized we don't really know exactly when it was planted. We have something of an idea, but if you try and base the age on species that you would find where this tree originates, which is back east. Well, let's put it this way. George Washington planted a tulip poplar at Mount Vernon, his Mount Vernon. And I think in 1976 it was given the name the Independence Tree because, hey, if you're going to claim it, you better name it, right? In any event, if you look at our tree, it's bigger than George Washington's tree. And yet we know that it can't be that old because the Skagit Valley isn't that old in terms of the people who would have brought those seedlings or seeds from where they lived back east out to here. Well, Neil Hall was a transplant. And we've discovered with a lot of trees, particularly tulip poplars, the transplants thrive better out here than they did in their original home. And I think that can be said for a lot of people who have come out here. We've not only come here to live, we've come here to thrive. And Neil Hall's own career and the story of that tree are perfect examples. And those are all the reasons that I would love to see this tree named after Neil Hall. And the company that I work with, Meyer Sign, would be more than happy to, at no cost to the city, and with the city's approval, design a sign that would name the tree and give some information about it. So everybody who passes by it in the future, like I did 8 years ago, and says, oh my God, what is this tree? They'll now find out. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Michael. All right, any other public comment? You're welcome to step up. I think maybe I'll ask those of you that are here with Katrina, or you want to raise your hand? There we go. So we now have kind of an idea of the members that are sharing your comments, so I appreciate that. All right. All right, well, if there's no other community comment, we're going to go ahead with on with our agenda, so thank you. All right, item C tonight is council member comments. Any council member comments tonight?
I have one.
I'll have Mary go first. Go ahead.
Of course, I'm very excited about the concept of naming a tree after my boss. I just want to make a small correction. He passed away just this January. He hasn't been gone quite a year. He has only been gone a couple months, so.
I'm sorry about that.
It's okay. I just wanted to make sure everybody knew. And, yeah, I love the idea, personally.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, any other council member comments tonight?
I would just concur with Mary. I would favor renaming the tree. I understand it's on private property. So if we could obtain the property owner's permission, we could name it. We could take advantage by our son's offer to make a plaque or sign for it.
So staff is happy to try and help contact the property owner. It's changed hands, and so just kind of help facilitate something like that to occur. We're happy to help facilitate that. Okay. All right. Item D tonight is mayor's report. So a few, and Peter's going to do the slides for me. Okay, great. Just a few things, reminding folks of the vaccine availability at the fairgrounds. It's not the only place in our community to obtain vaccines, but it is one place that is well run. They do have a new way to make appointments, and the website's up there. It's a little bit long, so it's prepmob.doh.wa.gov. However, if you go on the county website, which is easier, skagitcounty.net, there's links that direct you into those areas where you can either schedule at the fairgrounds or you can find a link to other vaccine providers in Skagit County. The next slide is that as of tomorrow, as a lot of you may know, just a reminder that everyone 16 and up will be eligible for vaccination. So I want to encourage everyone to take advantage of trying to get in and get those appointments and get our vaccination rates up, because that really helps the entire community from slipping backward, which we hopefully don't want to do. So as of tomorrow. Next slide is that our COVID cases are rising in Skagit County, and so I'm just imploring our public to please be accountable for yourself, your family, and your community. It's not hard. It's masks, it's social distancing, and it's good hygiene. You know, this is something that we are all accountable for, not just our public, but our businesses and our government. And so we don't want to slide back. So please do your part. We appreciate that. I wanted to just highlight a celebration that the Skagit County and the city had today with a virtual ribbon cutting of sorts. It was with our Maddox Creek Culvert project, and it's something we've talked basically about highly in our committee settings, not necessarily in our televised council agendas. So this project has been talked about for quite a long time. And a map here, if you can see it, shows that along the Maddox Creek area, there were really 5 different areas that were blocked for fish passage. And with the LaVenture Anderson project, which was completed back in 2013, it took care of 4. So it had 2 on one end and 2 on the other end, but right in the middle there was another area that was blocked. So the next slide, if you don't mind, Peter. So with being able to open up that particular culvert, it added about 2 miles of habitat that could be from that particular location through Maddox Creek for our salmon to be able to thrive. So the next picture. This was a picture shown before. So the original culvert was installed in the 1970s by Skagit County. In 2001, that culvert removal project was placed on our own city CIP, Capital Improvement Projects. And then after the LaVenture Anderson project was completed and there was just immediate benefit of the 4 we were able to do, on January 4 in 2017, the city met with Skagit County, the Department of Fish and Wildlife, Skagit Fisheries Enhancement Group, and Kurt Buchanan, who first emailed me about this at the end of 2016. And with some help from our other local gentleman, Larry Carpenter, who served on the Department of Fish and Wildlife Commission, able to receive grant funding to actually move this project and complete it. So that project was completed, celebrated today. So I have another picture. So this is what it looks like now. As you can see, it was an incredible amount of fill and everything that was being able to take out of there. It was quite a dramatic difference. The banks have been reseeded, so at some point trees will of course grow up and shade the creek, but just a really great project. It was led by Skagit County, but with the collaboration of our city all the way through, And so a big thank you and shout out to Esco Bell, our Public Works Director, but also Blaine Chesterfield, who really was the prime contact with Skagit County. A great collaboration all the way around with several other folks who donated time and plantings and expertise. And so a good thing to celebrate. And as Commissioner Janicki pointed out, we don't want to miss those little celebrations, especially right now when we can be excited about things that we accomplished together. So wanted to share that with our city council. All right, moving on. Item E is our committee agenda request from council. Any committee agenda requests? So go ahead, Richard.
Thank you. So I think most of you know that there's been a bit of a regional effort by local governments lately to get educated about the threat of a copper mine in upper Skagit headwaters. So that information kind of shares the background and the concerns has been shared with council and other cities and water purveyors and county government. And I'm happy to report that several of those governments have acted to pass resolutions in opposition to the exploratory mining permit in the Skagit headwaters, which could threaten the water availability and quality for all the residents in Skagit County. And so I guess I'm asking today if we can put this on our next council agenda to consider a resolution in opposition to the exploratory mining permit.
So if this could be put on our April 28th agenda. I think it's after our discussion a couple of committees ago, and I'm not quite sure if we do a consensus to put that on, so, okay.
I would be in support of that as well. I think this could be really, really good. It's a great way to protect our natural resource that we have here with the Skagit River. I believe about 140,000 individuals depend on this river for drinking water, both through the PUD and the Anacortes water treatment plant. So I see this as a very good thing.
Okay. Yes, sir.
I am in approve too.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very important for the community and for the environment, and everything is going to happen in the Skagit County. Yeah.
Great. All right, well then we will look to Councilmember Rocksmith for that language and formulate an agenda item for the 28th. Okay?
Thank you.
All right, any other committee agenda requests? All right, moving on, thank you. We have no, and staff needs to maybe trickle back in from the other room. Okay, maybe. All right, so we have no unfinished business tonight, so we're going to move on to our new business. And first up is item A, the appointment to the library board, and our library director, Isaac Huffman, is here. Isaac.
Hello, welcome to council. As you know, at the beginning of the year, we had a library vacancy with Katie Garmanas leaving the library board. And I bring in front of you today the appointment of Chloe Clark to the library board to fill out the remainder of her term. Chloe and his family are adamant library users. They check out tons and tons of items. He also brings a diverse professional background to the library board, lots of different experience and lots of different governance experience in his past. And so I ask that you authorize the mayor to appoint Chloe to the library board.
All right, any questions for Isaac on this item?
I'd move the council ratify the mayor's appointment of Chloe Clark to the Mount Vernon Library Board.
I'll second.
All right, motion by Mark and a second by Juan. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you.
All right.
Isaac B. Item B is the approval of an interlocal agreement with the Mount Vernon School District, and Isaac's here to present this one.
Yeah. Isaac B is my name at my house. You know, my wife is, Isaac A. So with that, I bring forward to you the interlocal agreement with the Mount Vernon School District to provide library cards for all Mount Vernon City students. As you know, that has been one of our goals for many years, is to provide early access to library resources. And one of the primary barriers that faces many families is just getting to the library and signing their child up for a library card. So we hope through this program, which will allow for a digital card to be issued to every student when they are part of the Mount Vernon School District, we can lower that barrier. It also will really ease access to physical items as well. Kevin has done a great job working through the terms of the agreement, which are both fair to the library and flexible enough that we can change them through time. So I really think this would be a great resource to add. So with that, I ask that you authorize the mayor to sign the interlocal agreement with Mount Vernon School District.
All right, any questions for Isaac on this?
I would like to motion the approval of interlocal agreement with Mount Vernon School District and the
All right, thank you.
All second.
All right, so motion by Iris and a second by Juan. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you so much for your work on that too, Isaac.
Great program, thank you.
All right, item C tonight is the approval of an amended agreement with the Taste of India, and Jennifer Berner, our Parks and Enrichment Director, is here. Jennifer.
Good evening, Council. So I'm here this evening to just give you an update on the Taste of India agreement and where we're at with that going forward. So the Taste of India is a tenant in one of our properties there on the waterfront at 420 Gate Street. And they would like to extend their lease on their lease option for 5 years. That would make the expiration date on this to be 2026 going forward. So in the current lease agreement, they pay $200 a month for their utilities that are not separately metered. And then they also, so that is, they pay for their own utilities within the restaurant, but they also utilize our restroom at the waterfront. And that's their restroom facility that they use for their business. So that's part of the utility, that $200 helps to make some of that cost up. We also, as a city, pay for we clean the restroom and we also stock it. So the time that the restaurant is using it is very small in comparison to when the rest of the community is using it, when it's just restaurant owners, patrons. And so it's like when we close the restroom up, usually sometime between 7 and 8 o'clock, until they close their restaurant down. We give them a key and they can let patrons go in and use the facility. The rest of the time it's open to the public and general public use. So with the $200, in the current agreement, it states that it would be reassessed at this time because it was a new agreement that we entered into. We find that $200 is more than equitable, and we don't feel like there needs to be a raise in that. And so going forward, we just would like it to be that it's a flat $200 rate and not something that we track and try and figure out what that cost is for that small amount of time that they're using it just for their business. We feel like that's an equitable amount of money, and they are in agreement with that. So that's what this is before you here, is just to make an amendment to their current lease agreement, to have that be a flat $200 instead of us trying to track it and reassess it every 5 years.
Okay, any questions for Jennifer?
I'd say that if it's working for them and it's working for the city, there's no reason to change anything other than just make that flat $200.
And we did keep their lease amount the same, knowing that COVID had just happened and we didn't want to do a rate increase on them at this time. And so that is something we can always reevaluate going forward, but at this time we did not want to do a rate increase.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that council authorize mayor to approve the amendment to section 4.2 and 4.3 of the lease agreement.
Second.
Motion by Melissa and a second by Gary. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you so much. Thanks, Jennifer. All right, item D tonight is our CDBG CV3 agreement with Community Action, and Peter Donovan is here to present. Peter.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, City Council members. The next, actually, 3 items should be fairly easy because they've already been approved by City Council in a different form. They were approved in action plans for CDBG. This first one, the CDBG CV3 agreement with Community Action, was discussed the last time that we met here, March 24th, as part of that action plan. And it was to provide about $130,000 to Community Action to support their motel voucher program while congregate shelter is unavailable. They were housing families in motels and really hoping to bridge the gap between that need for shelter now and the availability of the Skagit First Steps shelter that should be opening hopefully in May. So staff is recommending that council authorize the mayor to enter into this agreement with Community Action of Skagit County in the amount of $130,000 for that provision of shelter through Community Action's motel voucher program.
All right, questions for Peter on this item?
I'd move that council authorize the mayor to enter into the agreement with Community Action.
Second.
Iris, is that a second?
Second.
Okay, good, I just want to make sure. Okay, motion by Mark and a second by Iris. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Item E is the approval of a memorandum of understanding with Skagit Habitat for Humanity. Peter.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, this agreement with Habitat for Humanity reached back a little bit further. We're going back to last May, the 2020-2021 action plan. So that's our normal annual action plan for CDBG. This was approved within that plan, and Habitat for Humanity is ready to get moving with that home ownership assistance in the amount of $100,000. Staff is recommending that council authorize the mayor to enter into this agreement with Skagit Habitat for Humanity to carry out the home ownership assistance plan set forth in the city's 2020 CDBG action plan.
All right, questions for Peter on this?
I move for approval of the motion for mayor to enter into agreement with Skagit Habitat for Humanity.
Thank you.
Second.
Motion by Mary and a second by Melissa. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Item F is the approval of an interlocal agreement with the city of Burlington. Peter.
Thank you. Also, from 2 or 3 weeks ago, we talked about the city purchasing pallet shelters to support the Skagit First Steps program using CDBG CV3 dollars to do that. Those pallet shelters have been purchased. This is an agreement that Kevin's office drafted and the city of Burlington is supportive of. It's for the city to loan these shelters to the city of Burlington for the Skagit First Steps program for a 3-year term, and then there would be up to 7 one-year renewals that would just automatically happen there. And so the idea of that 10-year possibility is that these pallet shelters have a 10-year life expectancy. So that fit in well with that. We hope that they even last longer than that, but staff is recommending that council authorize the mayor to enter into this local agreement with the city of Burlington for the use of Mount Vernon's pallet shelters at the Skagit First Steps shelter site.
Okay. Any questions for Peter on this particular agreement? Okay.
I'll move to have the council authorize the mayor to enter in the interlocal agreement with the city of Burlington for the pallet shelters.
Second.
Motion by Mary and a second by Mark. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Item G is the 2021 reclassification of finance and police positions. And there you are. Finance Director Doug Lusky is here. Doug.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, council members. Tonight, city staff is requesting council approval for 2021 reclassification of finance and police positions. As Chief Kavik and I discussed at the last finance committee meeting, the city finance department currently has a vacant assistant finance director position that we are requesting to be reclassified down to a financial manager position. After review of the duties and responsibilities of this position, the city believes that it would be more efficient and responsible for the department to move forward with this reclassification. The financial manager position would be responsible for overseeing the city's annual financial reporting, coordinating the state audit, managing, monitoring, and reporting capital funds and grants, and also supervision of some of the financial staff. The finance department is also requesting to reclassify the current records manager position to a city clerk position. This change would better align the finance director to have more time for more financial responsibilities. The city clerk would be responsible for the current records manager responsibilities, as well as handle city council support, prepare legal notices and code publication and codification and other clerk duties. And then the last one is in the police department, due to a new work schedule that was negotiated in 2018-19, the police department is in need for an additional sergeant position for the special operations area. Special operations spans seven different functional areas requiring a dedicated supervisor. The city is requesting to reclassify one of the current 7 vacant police officer positions into the police sergeant position and would request the replacement for the police officer position in a future budget process. There would be no negative impact to the 2021 general fund budget, since there would be an overall annual savings of approximately $18,000 due to these 3 reclassifications. So staff recommends that council approve these 2021 classification requests for the finance and police department positions.
Okay. So Doug is here to discuss any questions you have about his positions, and Chief Kamick is here if you have questions about the police position. So any questions for staff?
No, this was pretty well discussed at one of the committee meetings, and I would move the adoption of the reclassification.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. Motion by Mark and a second by Juan. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And any opposed, same sign. All right, motion carries. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Doug, don't go anywhere.
Oh,
Don't go anywhere.
question.
I just wanted to say thank you very much for taking a look at the needs of your office, and then, of course, the needs of the police department, and recognizing what needs to be done, and saving the city $18,000.
Oh,
Thank you very much.
well, thank you. Thank you.
All right, great, thanks. All right, item H tonight is the approval of an interlocal agreement with Skagit PUD, and our city engineer, Bill Bullock, is here. Bill?
Good evening, council. That came through right.
Yep.
Microphone's picking me up? Okay, just making sure. So, Skagit PUD earlier this winter, or throughout this winter, has been going through a couple major water line replacements, both mainly on 18th Street and First Street. And this particular interlocal agreement deals with First Street. A couple months ago, we brought forth to the council the idea to partner with Skagit PUD so these water lines have a restoration component of the roadway that they're underneath, and generally replacing that travel lane that they span. And so the PUD's project on Fur went from basically LaVenture Street to Apache Lane, which just falls short of Wall Road. And as they were getting ready to do this, we realized that with our street pavement program, there's an opportunity to pave basically the full width of travel lane of First Street from that section, which is about 1 mile long. So it's a major section of a major arterial in the city. And so we approached each other, or the city approached, I don't know who approached who, but we basically got together and realized that there would be an economy of scale that we could achieve to pave the whole road. And through that, as we kind of worked through that process, we realized that really the best thing to do is to incorporate their restoration into our street paving program, and incorporate that portion of Fur into our 2021 street paving program that will go forward this summer. And they would contribute basically the cost of the scope of work that they had slated through their permit with the city to that project. And so with that, we're presenting the interlocal agreement that lets us work that out tonight, and they basically, Skagit PUD will be reimbursing the city approximately $102,000 that would have been their scope of work for their particular piece of repaving. The city is doing more than just that scope of work. We're going to go all the way to Was. We're doing both sides, and there's some other improvements we found that as we started looking at it more carefully. So we will be upgrading First Street, and that will last a good 25 to 30 years, so we're pretty excited about it.
That's great. So thank you, Bill, and I want to recognize Mark Hanslick from Skagit PUD who came tonight, so thank you for that. With that, I'll open any questions from City Council on this particular item.
I would just like to say that I look forward to that being done, because I'm one of the thousands of residents of Mount Vernon who drive First Street every day. So I'm excited about this, and thank you so much taking the initiative to partner with this to make it just more effective and efficient. So I would actually like to make a motion or have move that we authorize the mayor to execute the interlocal agreement with Skagit PUD.
Thank you.
I will second that.
All right, so a motion by Mary and a second by Melissa. Any further discussion?
I would also like to, I'm very happy about this because, you know, I know it's not always feasible to do these things because of scheduling and you're both dealing with, but anytime you can do interlocal agreements with PUD, it's great to get everybody on the same page because that's a pet peeve of mine. You know, when we pave, they dig, or vice versa, and so I think this is a great partnership here.
I also like to add that I think the collaboration that went behind this is quite beautiful, sincerely, and you know it's gonna be really efficient. I mean, the economies of scale looks really good, and so just thank you for all the good work to everybody.
Great.
I just want to chime in to say the only bad thing is that the work will be performed end of July, 1st of August, right in, probably in that area, August maybe. So we just ask for your patience. It's coming. It's going to look really good when it's done, but just be a little more patient.
Thank you, Melissa. All right, so there is a motion and a second on the floor. I'll call for a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Bill. All right. Item J tonight is a bid award for the solid waste building addition, and Bill is here to present this one. Oh, wait, shoot.
Does I come next?
Sorry, skipped I. I flipped my page too early. All right. Item I is we set a public hearing date to adopt the 2021 through 2026 six-year transportation improvement plan. Go ahead, Bill.
So this particular motion is just setting a date to have the public hearing that will be on the 28th of April. And during that presentation, I'll give more detail behind what a six-year tip is, and also part of that is describing what our highest priority projects are with that. And then I also will hand out some additional information that will answer questions about the entire six-year tip and those projects. These are projects, many of them have been on our capital improvements, transportation portion of a capital improvements program since '94. So a lot of these, and several years since then, we've built that program. So this will be just sort of a comprehensive look at that.
Okay, so tonight we're really looking for council to authorize a public hearing. And so, any questions for Bill on this item?
I move to recommend the mayor to direct staff to schedule the public hearing.
All right.
Second.
Okay, motion by Mary and a second by Gary. Okay, by Gary. All right, just clarifying that the hearing would be scheduled for April 28 of 2021. All right. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. All right, now, item J, bid award for solid waste building addition. Go ahead, Bill.
Okay, so we're moving forward with a concept we've had in the solid waste admin building to expand they have a really small meeting / lunchroom area, I guess, to expand that. This addition will expand that to about 3 times its current size. Right now they're really cramped and therefore the size of crew they have. And so we went forward with a similar bid advertisement that we did for the shop canopy, and the company that is building the shop canopy, R&R Excavating, also was the successful bidder for this project. So they're already there, and they wanted to really do this as well. So the final, the cost they submitted was $129,000 plus some change. Actually, $129,650.84. It was a little bit of sticker shock for us, but it's just the nature of building prices for building buildings at this time, and it is an equitable and fair price that we feel is to move forward and construct this, and so it'll be constructed sometime this summer.
Great. And before council, I might have Andy answer some questions for us. So as you know, well, council, I'll just remind council, we've been looking at trying to expand the city shop, since way before even my time. I think back in 2002 or 3, there was a proposal. And, that shop hasn't been expanded in probably 40 years. And as you can imagine, our staff has grown and grown and grown, and they're still in those same facilities. So when we really knew that a new city shop was pretty infeasible, staff really did an amazing job looking at how we could improve what we've got. So Jason and Streets really kind of rearranged the staff area in the street department and made things just more viable there and a great workspace. In our city shop where mechanics are, as you know, we're adding a bay, so we can at least expand and allow them a little bit more room. And so the solid waste crew really came up with this internal project. And it really came to light through COVID. So if you haven't been in a very, very small space with how many drivers?
We have 14 total in that building.
14 drivers in a space with literally 3 little tables. We had to break the crews up during COVID into 3 different sections to just keep them safe. And so for Andy and his crew to come up with this idea, I thought was brilliant. And so, really kudos to staff for making things work and it seems like a lot of money, but it's better than a $4 million building. And so I wanted to just thank Andy and his crew for coming up with a solution. So, yeah. So any questions beyond that?
So first off, was this in the 2021 budget or is this a new expenditure?
New expenditure.
New expenditure.
Yeah.
And how are you proposing to pay for this new expenditure?
We have, and Doug can correct me if I'm wrong, or Doug may speak on behalf of that. Go ahead, Doug, just so I make sure we have the correct answer on that for you. So I'll speak out of it. Sorry.
Yeah. So past several years, every year, the solid waste budget has been putting in $100,000 into the city shop capital fund. So we'll have to do a budget amendment or just want to use some of that money that they put into that fund for the purpose of expanding this area. That's what we're planning on getting.
So this would come out of an enterprise fund then?
No, it'll come out of their, public works, the capital shop fund.
Okay.
But it's being distributed through every year they've been putting in $100,000 for that shop.
Okay. So it is a new expenditure and we're basically using general fund money to fund it?
No.
No. This is.
General fund money that we put into a reserve account in the past?
No, enterprise money from.
So it was enterprise money?
Yes.
Okay. That's what I was trying to clarify. Is this coming from general fund money or the accumulation of general fund money, or was it from an enterprise account? And it's from an enterprise account?
It was from an enterprise account. They've been putting $100,000 aside every year for this.
Okay.
If I can also clarify for my own benefit, for the capital construction that was being planned, so this is what it was for.
Right.
And that's why would it need an amendment?
It will need a budget amendment because it's not, it wasn't included in the 20.
I see, okay, thank you.
All right, with that clarification, I will move the authorize the mayor to enter into the agreement with R&R Excavating.
Second.
Okay, thank you. Motion by Mark and a second by Richard. Okay, all those in favor, please signify by,
I got
question, Gary.
just one question.
Absolutely.
Obviously we were talking about COVID and, how it's all cramped quarters. Is there any possible usage of our monies to go towards that? Or does that not really meet the criteria for COVID relief money?
Totally where you're going. So if it does, so we still haven't received guidance from Treasury on the American Recovery Act funding that's coming to the city. However, the general guidance is that if it was used for COVID, like the CARES money, we could theoretically plan to use it for that. So we have used that funding to do remodels like out in police, to do that space. So it's absolutely something that we would look at, although that's going to be Doug's job to make sure that we do that and comply.
Okay.
But it's on the radar for, that could be reimbursed through that.
All right. Okay, great.
Okay, sorry, there's a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you so much. All right. Item K tonight is the approval of an agreement with Applied Research Associates, and Bill is here for this one.
Okay, so every 2 years, generally, we do an evaluation of all of our arterial and collector pavements in the city. Then that's what helps us direct our street improvement program for what is the most advantageous to pave next, in simple terms. And so last year, we didn't do that because this company was unavailable due to COVID, so we wanted to do that this year. So basically what this is a request to hire them to a personal services agreement to perform that work this summer. I can go into details for hours, but I won't, so I'm resisting.
If there's any questions, is there any questions for Bill on this?
Well, I might ask, if I may. So, do we really have to do this every year?
No, typically pavement management, whether you're doing a visual, this is different than a visual inspection, but typically pavements are inspected and evaluated on a 2-year basis. So once every 2 years.
So this is actually 3 years.
We're actually 3 years, which isn't bad.
That answers my
What
question.
you don't want to do is wait 5 or 10 years between evaluations.
I can see that, yeah. Thank you, I appreciate it.
All right, any other questions
Is this
for
the
Bill?
same company we've used in the past?
Yes, sir, it is.
Okay. I just didn't recognize it.
That's what
When it's every
provides
2
it.
years at my age, you don't remember
Got
the
it.
names of everybody.
And typically you want to be doing that because it provides the consistency from one year to the next, when you have the same inspector.
I would move to authorize the mayor to accept the proposal and enter the agreement with Applied Research Associates.
Second.
All right, thank you. Motion by Mary and a second by Juan. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you so much. That completes our agenda items. Before I ask Kevin a question, on the American Recovery Act, again, like I mentioned to council, we still haven't had any guidance. However, I am really shooting for the Finance Committee on May 26th to be able to present council an idea or a plan moving forward for that. And so your directors have all been like putting in, got a little file of all the notes of what possibilities could be there to use that for. Also had some great ideas from Ellen Gampson from the Downtown Association and Andy Mayer from the Chamber of Commerce. So we're kind of asking the community, what needs are really there. And so we'll be bringing forth that discussion, but we really don't think we're going to have anything to talk through till probably the end of May. So call me if you have any questions on that, but it's an update on that. All right, so we've completed our agenda items, so I'll ask our city attorney if we have a need for an executive session this evening.
Yes, Mayor, I'd invite the mayor and members of City Council to meet in executive session for a period of 25 minutes to discuss negotiations pertaining to collective bargaining. There will be no action after.
All right, with that then, we'll be adjourned at 7:57.